Hello everyone and welcome back to Dark Souls 1. This is part 6 of our Curved Greatsword run. So, last time we got our Dingy set up to plus 10, which was very nice, and went to the catacombs and took out Gravelord Nito. And this time, I came in wanting to start the DLC. So, we'll see how that turns out. But before that, we had to buy the Crust of Retorius. Because all the way up until this point, we still haven't beaten Sif. And as you can see, all the souls that I showed off last time, I've consumed them all. And I used them to get dexterity up to 20, along with putting a few points in resistance. Now, those 20 points into dex are going to be very important for allowing us to use the Great Bow, because there's still that Hydra that we have to deal with. But coming on through, we use the Crust of Retorius to open the door. I know there's another way to get through that doesn't require you to use the crust, but I don't know if you can go into the Sif fight without it. And besides, this way is just faster and easier. Now, normally you have to deal with enemies, but as you can see, they're aggroed on, or they're hostile, but the dual stealth rings allow you to get through here very easily, very quickly. And you don't have to worry about it. And then you can talk to Alvina, and you can establish a covenant, and that'll make him friendly.
And here.
Or at least non-hostile. And so getting through all their dialogue, you can see that try to lock on, but nope. They're now just willing to hang out, which is nice, but more importantly, Shiva.
I've heard all about
Which,
don't you?
Shiva is very important because of his weapon of choice. As you can see, it's the Murakumo, the third and final Curved Greatsword, because we want to get all of them this run. And I'm sure he'll hand it over if we ask nicely. I'm sure that'll work out well. But going on through, we kill some very floppy mushroom people to get the Enchanted Ember. And as you can see, I put on the Sanctus because I took a few hits. But I had it on my back, wasn't using it to shield. I was just using it purely for the healing, which the healing isn't as great as in the later games, because here it's just the shield, whereas in Dark Souls 3 you can get a ring and a blessed weapon as well, and in Elden Ring you can get the talisman as well. So in the later games you have more auto healing, but I'm so used to it, and I'm so used to it being a core part of pretty much all of my runs, so I really wanted to stick with this, even though I couldn't use it as a shield. But that was okay, because I really didn't want to pop an Estus going into the Sif fight. But I also didn't want to just sit around waiting for like 3 minutes or however long it would take for the shield to slowly heal us all the way up. So I decided to be a little proactive, do a little multitasking, and do something that didn't require me to use a shield. And came up with killing the Hydra, which, as you can see, got the Great Bow to +5, which is something else I did with some of the souls I popped, along with buying 100 Dragon Slayer Graders, which, that was certainly a decision, because I didn't know how many would take to kill the Hydra. But I figured it'd probably take a decent bit. Because I didn't think great arrows would be that good. But 2 arrows and a head was down. And 1 arrow and another head was down. So I guess the very first arrow hit like too far down the neck. But that's okay, because it's doing pretty good chunks of damage. Even when I didn't take off a head. So, very pleasantly surprised with the damage. And you might have noticed it, but the Ring of Fog still being useful here, even if it isn't doing its intended purpose of holding less aggro, because we're zooming in to aim, which normally your like shoulder and arm is in the way. But with the Ring of Fog, you become slightly see-through, which allowed us to aim a bit easier, which was helpful. And as you can see, with just 11 great arrows, we took the Hydra down. Which, wow. As you can see, I only have 24 strength and 20 dex. And yeah, the great bow is at +5, but with stats that low and only 11 great arrows, that was really good. And I figured, yeah, we're still missing a little chunk of health. We can go down. And after going down and quitting out of the game, coming back in, spawns in the Golden Golem, which we put on the Rusted Iron Ring in order to move freely around the water, which really helps with this fight, because maneuverability is very important, especially since they hit like a truck. But with that, we free Dusk, and I'm assuming you need to do all this in order to get the broken pen. I don't know if you just need to talk to her and get her to disappear, or if you need to go summon her. But I decided to go summon her just to be safe. But on the way there, I accidentally put on the Dusk Crown Ring, which slices your health in half. Which, whoops, kinda defeated the purpose of coming down here with the Sanctus, but I really wanted to commit to getting my health up with the auto healing, so I decided to burn some more time by going through the area, and since that didn't burn enough time, I decided to fight Hovel, because Hovel's ring is really good. It really saved me in my first run, which thankfully that swing didn't kill, because it easily could have. But we take him down, we get Hovel's ring, very, very good. Or at least it should be. And I thought maybe I could use it to have on the set of favor. I'll just cut all that, and all the experimenting and like fiddling I didn't work. Wasn't even close. I needed another like 10 full, like another like 10 full points of equip load, which that would have been a lot of levels, and it probably would have been even more considering we needed a light load. But anyways, I just went back, I sat at a bonfire and then came back. But I will let this fight play itself out. Victory achieved. We put on the Silver Serpent Ring to get some more souls, because we can, before changing it back. Which we beat Sif with the Gravelord Sword +5, the Crest Shield +5 even though we didn't really use it, the Dingy set +10, the Ring of Steel Protection, the Wolf Ring, and 2 sips of the Estus Flask. And we beat them at level 94 with 50 Vitality, 42 Endurance, 24 Strength, 20 Dexterity, 14 Resistance, and we beat them first try. And from here, we can head on, take a Homeward Bone, and take our next step towards getting into the DLC, which will be taking this guy out. Which I didn't feel like going through all the normal guys, so we decided to great bow it up. Which worked very well, actually. It only took another 5 arrows, but we got the Broken Pendant, and then headed down to New Londo Ruins, because we still have this boss to do, which I made sure to have the Covenant of Artorias on, and I was coming in with 7 Estus Flasks, so just keep that in mind. And I will let this fight play itself out. them using the AoE magic explosion attack twice in a row in the beginning was a little unfortunate, but well, we pulled it back. And we got a good chunk of change for it. Just a little unfortunate, but changed back, and we beat them with the Gravelord Sword +5, the Crest Shield +5, the Dingy Set +10, the Covenant of Artorias, the Wolf Ring, and 2 sips of the Estus Flask, because we came with 7. And we beat them at level 96 with 50 Vitality, 42 Endurance, 24 Strength, 20 Dexterity, 16 Resistance, and we beat them first try. And here, we didn't really need any more damage or anything like that, so I was good just leveling up resistance. And here, I wasn't sure if I wanted to fight the first DLC boss just yet, so it took a bit of back and forth, but eventually I decided on it. And I will let this disaster of an attempt play itself out. Definitely not doing super great. And I could tell that I was getting tired. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep going or not at this point. But we beat them with the Gravelord Sword +5, the Crest Shield +5, the Dingy Set +10, the Chloranthy Ring, the Wolf Ring, and 2 sips of the Estus Flask. And we beat them at level 97 with 50 Vitality, 42 Endurance, 24 Strength, 20 Dexterity, 17 Resistance, and we beat them first try. Now, at this point, I was really, really tired, because I was normally used to recording at like 3 in the morning, but I had started going to bed at like 1 in the morning, so I was ready to clock out. But my original plan was to go through this area, the Royal Woods, and then beat Artorias, and then end it there. And I didn't want to split up the recording into 2 sections, with one section just being for a single boss, because that would make things a bit more complicated. And so I decided to go and fight Artorias while being super tired. And I knew that I was going to make some extra mistakes, and I was going to be a bit sloppy because of that. And so I decided to triple kindle the bonfire to give myself 20 Estus in order to have a bit more breathing room. Just to allow myself to make a few extra mistakes without running out of Estus and dying. But we talked to Elizabeth, I think that's her name. Just to get that out of the way, and then ran on through the area. And we said hello to our favorite dragon, and tried attacking them, but they're invincible during that, which kind of sucks. Now, I was too tired for the area, so I just put on the stealth rings and ran through very quickly. And after getting to the boss, again, skipping the entire area, essentially, did not fight a single enemy. But once I got to the boss, changed up my equipment, the rings, decided to take off the shield, and I will let this very sloppy attempt at Artorias play itself out. Definitely not my best work, but again, like I said, I was very much tired. But changing the rings back, we beat him with the Gravelord sword. I mean, I just had to look back and lament at the fact that he could take half my health with a single attack. But beat him with the Gravelord sword plus 5. the Dingy set plus 10, the Ring of Steel Protection, the Wolf Ring, and 7 sips of the Estus Flask. And we beat them at level 98 with 50 Vitality, 42 Endurance, 24 Strength, 20 Dexterity, 18 Resistance, and surprisingly, first try. And again, I was extremely tired, but I knew I had like 2 more things to do. The first of all, like the first thing to do was to triple kindle this bonfire, because this was going to be the bonfire that I would use to go after Calamite and Manus. 2 pretty difficult bosses for Dark Souls 1. And so, figured we have the humanity, might as well get ourselves that extra bit of like cushion material. Have a bit of extra Estus. And then we went back because I had 1 more thing to do before going to bed, which was aggroing Calamite. So we came down here, running through, we said hello. I was honestly so tired at the time that I had completely forgotten that he did that, and was a little surprised by it. But we dropped down, and we just wanted to aggro them for Goth later, which we did, and we ran all the way to the very edge, but still got hit by the fire, which was a little surprising that it would reach that far, but okay. But we came in, we grabbed the Titanite slab because we could, and we homeward boned out of there. And with that, I was satisfied with our progress. We'd beaten another 4 bosses, got halfway through the DLC, but I still had more to do, and I realized we had more time, but that would be for another day, and here, I went to bed. And after going to bed, getting some sleep, and coming back the next day, well rested, I decided that we could probably finish the game. Because it was only 4 bosses left, and one of them would be a complete pushover. But here I one-shot, which blew my mind, because I only have 24 strength and 20 dex, which, yeah, we're using a powerful weapon, but one-shot? Like, I don't think I've one-shot these enemies in any of the previous runs, besides, like, maybe two-handing a claymore? But here I decided to move over to the stealth rings, because the stealth rings have done me a great service in this area in the previous runs. But here, it took 2 shots to kill the enemies, which kind of threw me off a bit, because, like, why die one-shot the first enemy? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But quickly figured out that I did enough damage that moving over to two-handing allowed me to consistently one-shot, which was nice. Now, before starting this recording, after going to bed and coming back, I went to go get some upgrade items, like some upgrade materials, and I actually died. So I lost my humanity, which is why I didn't get invaded here. Now, scrolling down, as you can see, got a few more of everything, which was nice. I'm not going to focus too much on this, but specifically what killed me was getting the blue Titanite slab, since it's back in the crystal caves and you have to do... You have to go across, like, a wiggly, wobbly, invisible platform. And I ran out of prism stones to throw down. Which... I ran out right at the very end, which sucked. And it was right as the turn was happening. But anyways, it doesn't matter too much. Put on the sunlight helm to get into this room. So we could pick up the silver pendant, which would be very, very useful for Manus. Assuming I actually remember to use it, which... The last run, maybe the last 2 runs, I remember to use it, so it shouldn't be too much. But continuing on through, we kill this mimic, which was holding an enemy in its mouth, which I thought was really funny. But kill them, and we get the crust key for Goff later on to help us with Calamite. And having gotten that, we move on. And getting to the next bonfire, we got a humanity off of one of the enemies, so we pop that, and that'll allow us to go and save the pupper. Because apparently you need to be in human form to summon the pupper. Which, hopefully they help. It's going to be the one summon I use this run. Even though their AI is really weird and they don't like to attack sometimes, but whatever. But we use the crust key, and we climb our way to say hello to our friend Goff, who promptly does us a massive favor. Beautifully shot. A truer shot was never loosed. I can't do his voice, I'm sorry. I can try, but I can't. But after swapping up some of our equipment and our rings, we decided to go into the boss. And just to let you know, I forgot to put on the wolf ring for extra poise. And the armor set I'm using has 0 poise, so we went into this with no poise, but having said that, I will let this fight play itself out. Victory achieved. One of the attacks that hit me was an attack I've never seen before, which really threw me off, but besides that, not bad at all. And we beat them with the Gravelord Sword +5, the Dingy set plus 10, the Flamestone Plate Ring, the Ring of Steel Protection, and 2 sips of the Estus Flask. And we beat them at level 99 with 50 Vitality, 42 Endurance, 24 Strength, 20 Dexterity, 19 Resistance, and we beat them first try. And then from there, we put our shield back on, and then headed off into the future. And going over to Manus, I saw this NPC.
Is that not the soul of the man who fell on this spot? He was a dear friend. I wish to pay proper respect with that soul. Would you be willing to part with it?
Now, at this point, I had pretty firmly decided that I have the Dingy set out of the Gravelord sword. I'm going to make this an evil character. So I'm going to say no, and then I'm going to kill her.
Yes, of course. I must not be presumptuous. Artorius would not have approved.
And the yes, of course, kind of threw me off.
What is it? Have you Then you have no business with me.
Now, I was gonna just kill her, see what she dropped, but I mean, I said no, I'm not going to let your dear friend rest in peace. I'm going to keep their soul for my own selfish gain. And they went, okay. Which really threw me off, and so I just went on my merry way. And pretty sure Manus does magic damage, so put that on, and went on, hopefully to not die. But we went in, and we let the cutscene play itself out, and with that, I will let this fight play itself out. Victory achieved. Definitely not the best, but 72,000. And I'll take it. But we beat them with the Gravelord Sword +5, the Crest Shield +5, Dingy Set +10, the Spellstone Plate Ring, the Ring of Steel Protection, 8 sips of the Estus Flask, and the Silver Pendant. And we beat them at level 100 with 50 Vitality, 42 Endurance, 24 Strength, 20 Dexterity, and 20 Resistance, and we beat them first try. Now, this is when I noticed in the time of recording that I hadn't been using the Wolf Ring. And so I was doing these fights with 0 poise. Which, considering how important poise is, especially for like the Artorias fight, that really threw me off, but first try is first try, so we'll take it.
I will remember thee, but I will keep thy story to myself. This is the best way, for thou art come from a time far ahead. No one will sing thy praises, but yet thy greatness shall live on, for it shall be my purpose to remember all thou hast done for us.
Now, I was pretty
flames guide thee.
Solidly in the idea that this was an evil character, and I was just going to go around butchering NPCs, and considering they were just like, no, I won't tell anyone about your greatness, I was going to kill them, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. My character is evil, but that's a line I couldn't cross. So, not gonna happen. Sadly. Or not sadly. But, before we fight the last 2 bosses, we got some things to do. We go through New Londo Ruins, through the Valley of Drake, and we were gonna go through the tunnel in the Blight Town, but I got distracted by the Witch Set, which I never picked up after the 4 Kings. But we got that, and as you can see, we have the server, we have the Gravelord Sword. But I think it was after the Hammer Run, I said we're gonna introduce the rule of having to go through every single, like, get every single weapon in the weapon class that we're doing. And there's one more weapon in this weapon class. We still have the Murakumo. And while we could go farm it from the skeletons, I am not gonna do that. Which, okay. But there is one more guaranteed way to do it that doesn't require farming. And yeah, it involves killing an NPC, but like I said, this is the evil character. And while I can't bring myself to kill every NPC, there's a few that I'm less attached to, that I just don't feel too strongly about, which sadly Shiva the East is on that list of having just a bit of apathy. And since this is going to be the final NPC we're killing, I thought that going down into the depths of Blighttown was a good, accurate representation of the depths of depravity this character was falling into. And we went all the way down, and let's get right to it.
You know, you are a friend. I'll sell them cheap.
Cheap, eh? You'll sell them cheap? Let's see about that. So-so. I mean, the Stone Greatsword, like, for being a cool-looking greatsword with good bonuses, 15k, pretty cheap. Demon Great Machete, pretty cheap. Flame Burst, ever so slightly high, but I can see it. Uchigatana, very cheap. I'd honestly raise the price a bit on that, because if Elden Ring has anything to say, they're pretty good. And same with the Claw. Claw's good. But the Shotell being 10k, you can get that for free in Sense Fortress. So, nah. You need to die for that.
To turn on us. You poor fool. You.
Yep. I won't be running. I will stand my ground. Like this guy. Some bodyguard he is. But with that, we get the Murakumo. And I really had the audacity to start checking weapons and item descriptions and stats with an angry NPC right next to me. That's how confident I was. Now, obviously, haven't gotten to use the Murakumo, and I've barely used the server. I've only used it in, like, 1-2 areas. Now see, he knows. He knows to run. He knows to fear the evil character. Wait, no turning around. No swinging. A dark wood grain ring. I've heard of the wood grain ring for, like, slowing weapon durability. But I've never heard of this. Which... Ooh. Doing somersaults, doing front flips. Send me to the circus. Make me the next Robin. I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. I got flips for days. See, some of these rings and some of these things, it's like, why weren't they brought back for the later games? Some of these things are so cool. But with that, we decided to head on back because there's 2 bosses to go and that's about it. Now, after getting all the way there and changing up our equipment, we decided to heal up, which, as you can see, we are coming in with 18 Estus. And I decided to try a new strategy here, so let's see how it goes, and I will let this fight play itself out. Victory achieved. With that, Lord of Cinder's fallen. Now, we were a little sloppy with the new strategy, but I think it worked out decently. And we beat the boss with the Gravelord Sword +5, Crest Shield +5, the Dingy Set +10, Flamestone Plate Ring, Ring of Steel Protection, and 2 sips of the Estus Flask, because we came in with 18. And we beat them at level 100 with 50 vitality, 42 endurance, 24 strength, 20 dexterity, 20 resistance, and we beat them first try. Now at this point, we could link the fire, but like I said, evil character, and we figured out this ending on accident last run, so we decided to do it purposely this time.
My lord, bless thy safe return. Let Kath and Framt serve your highness. We are here to serve your highness. Let true dark be cast upon the world. Our Lord hath returned.
But no credits just yet, because, I mean, I said every boss, that means every boss. Which, as anticlimactic as it is, we haven't beaten the Asylum Demon with the Curved Greatsword, so still one to go. And once we get there, we push open the doors, and we decide to chug our orange juice all the way down to 5, the way it was intended. But probably wasn't super intended to come in with a Gravelord sword, so yeah, take that as you will. And I don't even really have the time to not talk here, which you might have seen. We actually poisoned the boss, but unlike with Demon Fire Sage, we're not gonna let the poison kill him, because I'm not waiting around that long. But we beat them with the Gravelord Sword +5, Crush Shield +5, Dingy Set +10, Flamestone Plate Ring, Ring of Steel Protection, 0 sips of the Estus Flask. We beat them at level 100 with 50 vitality, 42 endurance, 24 strength, 20 dexterity, 20 resistance, and we beat them first try. I mean, you know how it goes at this point. And with that, we can continue onward. And after doing a glorified victory lap, we decided to jump on back to Firelink Shrine. And at this point, I was really thinking about how this entire run has gone.
Lousy rat.
And
You have some
evil character. We had to. But I was thinking all the way back in the beginning. We went down into the catacombs. We died 5 times just to get a weapon that we did not have the stats to even use. And we came in, like, we came back, no armor, no shield, didn't have the stats to even use the weapon that we had. And we had to parry with our bare hand. And we went from that to instantly, as soon as we got enough strength to properly wield the weapon in 2 hands, we went from that downtrodden position to doing over 1,000 damage in a single attack. And we stayed on that high the entire run. I mean, I basically didn't need to upgrade strength or dex past their base requirements. Yeah, I got I got dex up to 20, but that was just for the great bow, which I used for like 2 fights. But besides that, our damage was good throughout the entire game at the bare minimum requirements. Because our damage was just insane. we didn't need to go any higher. We didn't need to use the Murakuma. We didn't need to use the server. Outside of one area for getting rid of the skeletons. Now, I don't know if the Grey Lord Sword is indicative of the Murakumo and the server in terms of performance, because part of using and like going through every single weapon class is to figure out the strengths and the weaknesses, and I'm trying to grade all of them. And so, because I only used one, I don't know if this will be a very accurate representation. But it was just so good. I was so happy with it. And yeah, the piercing sword sucked. The daggers are gonna suck. The spear run is gonna suck. But finding gems like this, I never thought curved greatswords were gonna be good. But like with the poke attack, it had more range, it had so much versatility, so much damage, it was so fun that it just felt great. And this is probably my favorite weapon class, honestly, if not second behind greatswords. But I was just on such a high thinking about this, just this run and how much I've loved it. And if you liked watching this run, hit like, why not? I'm gonna keep doing these. I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I'm probably gonna use another random number generator to figure it out. But it was a ton of fun for me, and yeah.